Let's start with an intro.
This might be the intro, I guess, right? This will be a unique episode. I'll just say this. All right. Got to get the tune in my head.
I can get you the tune.
Oh, can you play it?
I don't think I.
Don't do it if you can't, like if it's not up right now. I just meant like that would be a dope thing.
Well, I do have it here.
Don't do it. But you know what I mean though? Like
Yeah.
in the future.
No, I can't. I mean, it's actually it's not a big deal. I was just thinking.
What were you thinking?
Well, I was just thinking, how do I do that? But it's not that hard.
Oh, well, don't actually do it if we want to edit it and not use it. I don't know. I just it'd be.
No, hold on.
I'm trying to think from a guest perspective. If they could hear it, it makes it sound like a more legitimate show.
You were saying what
Yeah,
about bringing the music in?
Sounded legit.
Oh, and we're recording, by the way.
Boom. Oof. That's spicy. We're live. Welcome, everybody, to the third episode of the Final Vibe podcast. I used the word special a lot in the last episode to describe it, but this one is special in its own way, in that, Andrew, you and I are face-to-face right now in a very makeshift, but I can still feel comfortable calling it a podcast studio. It is in my basement, but it is nonetheless a podcast studio.
It feels good. Obviously, if you're listening, you can't see us. We're in very comfortable brown chairs, and we've got one laptop, and it feels good.
It does feel good. 2 microphones, some random acoustic paneling scattered throughout the room. It's not much, but it's ours, and it's the start of Final Vibe. It feels good. Speaking of Final Vibe and the start of Final Vibe, we are on day 6 since the launch, and it has been a thrilling week, I would describe it. Releasing this to the world and sharing what we have been working on for the last couple of weeks.
Let's talk about Final Vibe in our own words, and then maybe we can talk about our personal endeavors that were going to be most Final Vibe like.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The
Yeah,
project
for me,
thing.
describing Final Vibe will be some of my backstory. The way I want to look at this from a customer journey.
Yeah.
And right now, let's pick a random person.
Right.
This is the episode, I think, where we have an ability to say, we've had 2 weeks. You guys kind of get it. Here is who we are, and here is exactly what Final Vibe is.
So let's do this, since the question really is yours to be answered.
But I think the best way to answer with how did Final Vibe start will be a little bit of our backgrounds.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So let's do this. Let's jump into the genesis of Final Vibe. Let's talk about how it all began. Let's talk about the idea that was in the back of Kevin's mind. So Kevin, tell us how this all began and where did Final Vibe come from?
That is the question, probably the question I've gotten every single day since Final Vibe launched. And I love that question because it's a big one. It's all encompassing, and there's a lot behind it. And when I think about how Final Vibe started, it goes back to a few years ago when I had some strange and unexpected bouts of health scares. So what started as random muscle twitches all over my body turned into a doctor's appointment, and I mentally went to a place where I thought I had something extremely wrong with me, which sounds bizarre when you think about just having random muscle twitches. But I found a Facebook group of people who had this, and it turned into this big thing. And I obsessed day in and day out about these twitches that I had in my muscles, all head to toe. And it put me in a dark spot when I thought that something was seriously wrong with me. And I couldn't figure out what it was, and all of the tests and whatnot that the doctors did found nothing. So I had to come to this place where I just had to accept the fact that I was okay and things were going to move forward. Fast forward a little bit, and I start having these undiagnosed stomach issues. And this is a gross problem I won't go too much into detail of.
Maybe another episode?
Yeah, maybe
a
another
full
episode. A
dedicated,
full episode
dedicated to the
yeah.
symptoms of...
Long story short, though, I, at the age of 28 years old, have already had 3 colonoscopies and my gallbladder removed, and have absolutely no idea to this day what the problem is that I still have. So it's been now 3 years of these bizarre, again, undiagnosed health issues that I have. And when something like that happens for 3 years, you go from thinking that you're going to die at any day to realizing that you have no other choice but to live with whatever it is that you've got and to move forward. So I was fortunate in that I have a fantastic job with Mizzou Esports that allows me some flexibility, but I literally built that program while dealing with these massive problems, trying to figure out what was wrong with me mentally, physically, and then also build this program. But what that all did was allow me mentally to go to a place that I do not typically go. And that was thinking about the end of this whole thing. And what if I was that 28-year-old that you hear about in the news that had some random, rare stomach problem that was going to take his life? And those were the thoughts that I had all the time, day in and day out. And I really wrestled with that 2018, 2019. And it was just a few months ago that I have completely accepted the fact that I might have something seriously wrong. And I am fortunate enough that I'm still able to do a whole lot of other things despite the health problems that I have. So let's rock and roll and let's enjoy as much of the time that I've got. And realistically, probably I will have and hopefully have many, many years ahead of me. But I don't know that for sure. None of us do. And that's what I'm coming to the realization of. And as I've said over the last few days and weeks with FinalVibe, it's given me an opportunity to at least want to take advantage of the time that I've got. And I thought it would be fun if a lot of people came along with me and did that themselves.
Absolutely. And for those listening, I've known Kevin for quite a while, actually. We go back to college. We were fraternity brothers in college. And although Kevin kept this season of life relatively under wraps to the public, I can speak to the fact that, dude, you were an anxious guy. You were an anxious guy during the heat of those seasons. And I think even your closest friends didn't really know exactly what was going on. We just knew that you were going through a hard time. So what's interesting is that I didn't even really know until this moment that FinalVibe came from that thought process. But it's powerful, man. I mean, I think what's cool about FinalVibe is, and I mentioned this in the blog that we threw up last week. Nobody really wants to think about death that much, you know? Like, and the last thing I want is for people to be running around thinking about death because they're, into FinalVibe. But when you think about, when you really confront that question of what life is really all about and how you want to spend the time that you do have, regardless of what you believe about what happens after you die, it's a pretty heavy thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's cool that you're coming to this from that angle.
Yeah. A theory that I have is that humans know, I think, and you wrote about this in your blog post, that one of the things that we know for sure, though, the only thing that we know for sure is that we're going to die. And a lot about being a human is distracting yourself from that thought as much as you possibly can. And what the technological advances of the last 30 years have given us is an ability to distract ourselves from the fact that none of this is forever. And we've been able to distract ourselves from that thought so well that I think some people are removed from it so much that they are able to make unhealthy decisions because they do not realize the greater consequences and implications of those decisions. And that goes for physical health, but also mental health and so many other things that I think people just don't realize because they're so removed from the fact of what life actually is. And that's just a theory that I have after I've found myself, when you go into these dark moments, you can always turn to Twitter and YouTube and Netflix and turn your brain off from the fact that things are scary and real and really scary.
See, and that's crazy too, because without getting too deep too quickly, I love chatting the meaning of life with people. Like I could sit down with pretty much any stranger, sit down and talk about life with people. In fact, maybe a few months ago, I went out shooting guns with a friend, and then we went to Taco Bell, ate some bean burritos, and we talked about the meaning of life for 2 hours. We talked about everything from Elon Musk's theory of the simulation. Maybe it's all just an elaborate demonstration of the Matrix come to life. We talked a little bit about religion. We talked about ethics, the human condition, all those things. And I guess what I think is so crazy is we seem to have this notion that maybe everything is meaningless, but we don't want it to be meaningless. And so, regardless of what you believe, because no one's trying to push any agenda here, regardless of what you believe, you're probably at some point going to come to the realization that you, at the very least, want to make the most of the time that you do have.
Right.
So if you're figuring this out at 18, good for you, because you're so far ahead of the game. Because most 18-year-olds, they don't have to think about that, because life is filled 24/7 with entertainment, social media, and general noise. So you just don't have to think about it. But you know, you and I are sneaking up on 30. You start thinking about it a little bit more, because we're not spring chickens anymore.
I'm going to open up a door. You can close it right away if you want.
I like doors.
Okay. So let me ask you this. So when I look at death and the end of this all, and I know that it is, it's a conversation that, as you've said, it is heavy. And I know some people listening to this are not ready for a conversation like this at 8:00 on a Monday when they're driving to work. And that's okay. But I think what is important about Final Vibe and what our goal is with this is that if you take the time to put yourself in this mentality while you develop goals and life strategies and think about what you want to accomplish under the mindset of Final Vibe, you're able to think at a higher level, think more clearly. So I think what we're able to, and what we want to do, is provide resources for people to be able to do that more easily.
That's really well said, and I think it's a good segue into the details of what Final Vibe is going to be, because I think that's what people really need to hear. Because I think it's easy to see Final Vibe pop across your screen on social media and think, it looks cool. I like the branding. I like the words. I like legacy. I like all these things. But what do we actually do? So, you having said what you just said, let's talk about what Final Vibe is going to look like for you and I. For you and me, excuse me, poor grammar, for you and me. And then I just want to throw in some other examples of how I see it playing out for other people. So we can cut this part out, but to reference what I'm talking about, so I co-own Ivory Fitness. It's a body recomposition business that my friend and co-owner Josh and I run. And I'm working with a gal right now who wants to lose 100 pounds. And that's such a perfect example to me of Final Vibe, because you only get one body. It's your, as I mentioned in the blog, it's your vehicle for life. It gets you everywhere. And if you've ever seen somebody who's chronically overweight, or you've seen somebody in a nursing home, or you've seen somebody who's had their physical abilities taken away from them, it's devastating. I actually went through a phase in life when I was awkwardly grateful for having no major physical disabilities. Like, it sounds really silly, but when I was in college, I would actively think about being thankful for the ability to walk. Because when I see people in wheelchairs, and this is not to say that people in wheelchairs can't have amazing lives, but I just know that I value my mobility, my body's ability to do things so much. It just seems devastating to be held back by that. So anyway, without being tangential, this gal, she wants to lose 100 pounds, because you get one life. And she doesn't want her legacy to be somebody who was 100 pounds more than she needed to be. So I think fitness and fat loss are going to be a huge part of. It's going to be a big category of Final Vibe.
I think so too. Yeah, and for whatever reason now, there seems to be some cliche surrounding that culture, that world that is Instagram fitness and whatever. But there is something to be said about what being physically fit and able allows you to do. So if you are in a position to get your body to be able to do more, you're able to do more and see more. And when you start thinking about goals that you want to accomplish, and where will you want to travel at 50 and 60? And are you able to travel at 70 and 80? And you see people who can, and you see people who cannot. And it's another one of those easy to distract yourself for so long, but those moments are determined today in the moments that we have right now and the decisions that we make right now. And it sucks to think about that sometimes. And it reminds me of that quote that I will say probably every episode: if you do not practice what you have learned, you have not learned. Because it is one of those where we know all of these things, but until we put them into practice, what are we actually doing? So I hope that this is able to inspire and draw more people to actually put things into practice that they think they know.
And that makes me think there's this I think the most anti Final Vibe cultural mantra out there is when people I don't know if it's surely not just our generation. I see it most because I'm obviously, a part of it. But when people know that something is either bad for them or bringing them down in life or just not contributing positively to their life and they continue to do it. And so don't take me as bashing any of these things I'm going to say, but for example, we know that smoking isn't good for you. We've known that for a long time. There was a generation that didn't know that, and they're sort of paying the price now. But if you know smoking is bad for you and you do it anyway, it's kind of a weird thing. It's kind of like overeating or going into tons of debt when you don't have to. There's something about the human condition that's impulsive and unable to take the wiser route, take the better route, even when you know that it's bad for you. And so it just goes back to that quote. Like if you know something, but you haven't applied it, then you've really just interacted with a fact and dismissed it. You haven't learned anything and you've not applied it. And that blows my mind. And I think I'm excited for Final Vibe because I'm taking the Final Vibe mentality into the small things I was telling you about weed
Yeah,
eating.
I love the way I love your mindset of this, where some people think it has to be big picture, but it doesn't. It could be the smallest picture you could imagine.
I think that's the thing. It doesn't have to be big picture. Like, obviously, you run Mizzou Esports. It's a big deal. I mean, that's a big goal. People could say that. I'm trying to launch, Ivory Fitness, our body recomposition company. That's our big thing. And now Final Vibe in and of itself is now a Final Vibe project, which is exciting, but it doesn't have to be that way. I think if you want to be a better dad, then come be a part of Final Vibe and be a better dad or be a better husband. Or if you like to make tables in your free time, then get structured about it and make tables and just join the community and be motivated by other people who just want to make the most of their time. Because man, I keep referencing the blog, but I wrote about this idea, dude. Someday you're gonna be, if you're lucky, if you're fortunate enough, you're gonna be on your deathbed, and it's coming. Imagine being 99 years old. Like for example, my aunt just died at 104. So really, arguably for the last decade, she never knew when the last time she was gonna go to bed. Dude, imagine thinking back on your entire life and wondering, what could I have done differently? Dude, that's so heavy.
It is. It's so heavy.
I really want to interact with people that think that way.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Well, no, and that's exactly what it is. It's about surrounding ourselves and people who are into this, surrounding themselves with people who get it. And I think that the Final Vibe mindset, I know at the bottom of my heart, it is for everybody, but I also know that it is not for everybody all the time. Everybody will find the Final Vibe, the hole in their heart is there, but they won't know it. Some people are going to find it in their 20s, in their 40s, in their 60s. I think everybody has their own story about what it is that makes them kind of open their eyes to, like, holy cow, this is a ride that we are on, that we are blessed to be on, that we do not decide when we get off. And yeah, it's so interesting to talk about and to embrace. And I know that we are going to have a lot of really, not I want to say awkward, but there's going to be some times that we ask that question: what does legacy mean? What do you want to? And it's going to be fantastic, the people that we get to answer that question, because there's something about, and that you can tell people who already live this mindset, have this lifestyle, just based on the conversations, the people in their lives, the things that they've done. And there's just something about it. What is it about those people that they have figured out? And I wonder, and I think that what they have figured out is that time is limited. And I think that that's kind of what gives those special people that aura about them.
Yeah. Well, I think what's worth mentioning too is that Final Vibe is not a new concept. We just made we just made a brand
Yeah.
around it. Like people have been air quote final vibing from the beginning of time because everybody knows those people in their life who just seem to have it together. And you can obviously point to all the Silicon Valley entrepreneurs, but I think I think that's even a misrepresentation because again, it doesn't have to be that big of a deal. You don't have to be the last thing we want people to think this is just something purely for wannabe business moguls. That's not what this is. I would love for there to be that demographic in our group, but as we mentioned earlier, anybody with the smallest goal in life who just wants to apply themselves and bring out their best potential, that's what it's for. So I don't know. It's weird. I almost think it's weird that nobody's done this before.
Yeah, maybe they have. And
Maybe they have. Maybe this is
Was-
is this stale? Is this a stale idea?
I don't know. Maybe it is. I
It's
when I
legit.
get ideas like this, I don't like to do a lot of research.
Stay
'cause
off the internet.
Yeah,
Don't do it.
yeah. I don't take it. I don't want to take anything. Um, no, it's interesting that you say that, and a lot of the launch of Final Vibe was strategic in that we wanted it to come out around the time when the at least United States as a country was in the process of opening up after COVID-19. Because my theory has been, and I've shared this with you, over the last 3-4 months, everybody's been cooped up in their house. And they've had a lot of time to have discussions with their family and think about their life and the decisions that they've made and just the normal things that you will do when you're stuck in your house for 3 to 4 months, which a lot of people have never done before. And I think we are going to see a country that will have New Year's Eve resolution syndrome times 10 over the next month or two. There are 40 million people right now who have lost their jobs. And in 2008, after that financial crisis, a lot of people turned to the gig economy, Uber and Airbnb, and find other ways to make money. Well, now those have also been impacted. People are going there a tremendous amount of time that people are going to spend looking for other jobs and other opportunities, and they're going to start looking at other cities and other states. And I think you are going to have the wannabe business moguls, but you're also going to have the people who want to run a half marathon or who now want to get serious about starting a family or who want to get serious about so many other things, going to grad school, whatever it will be. I think we're going to see a lot of people come out of the quarantine motivated to do things they've never done before. And I hope that Final Vibe is able to find those people and we can all get under the same roof and then really just share what everybody's doing with each other. And so far that's what it's been. It's obviously it's very small scale. But I see Final Vibe as there's no way it can fail. To me, it doesn't matter if it's 20 people who buy into this and we do it for the rest of our lives and it's just 20 guys and whatever. I want it to be as big as it can possibly be. I think it could be something that sweeps the world, this mindset, this mentality, this motivation that people can truly, when they think about time and the right perspective, they can truly come up with a plan and a strategy to accomplish whatever it is that they want to.
Totally. And let's talk about the branding because I think the branding was big. I like the story about the branding. I like how you found the logo. I like how it all came to be, and I like the fact that having an apparel line that supports the Final Vibe mindset. I want to hear you talk about the brand identity association because whenever you first schemed up this plan and you came to me with this presentation, you had the Nike logo, you had the Margaritaville logo. You had all these logos that had associations, and the Final Vibe logo was mixed right there in with it. And just tell the people about how powerful that association can be when it comes to making micro decisions in your everyday
Sure.
life.
Yeah, that goes. I mean, it's again, Final Vibe has been as a concept cooking in my brain for the last few years. But the mindset, what you're talking about with the logos. That is a perfect way to describe what I want Final Vibe to be. about a year and a half ago, I was in Vegas, and I remember sitting at a Margaritaville slot machine and thinking, wow, Jimmy Buffett turned a song into a brand, a culture, a lifestyle. And you can stay at a Margaritaville resort. You can go to the restaurant. You can play the slot machine. You can listen to the song. But if a person has a Margaritaville sticker on their car, you probably have a pretty good idea of what their lifestyle is like, what they like to do, probably even what shirt they got on. There are a lot of brands that are similar to that, where the people who are proud to wear it all share a mindset and goals, and they bond over what that is. So I thought that is what FinalVibe would be on day one, is a hopefully a brand, a lifestyle brand that people kind of buy into. And by drinking the coffee and wearing the clothes and subscribing to the podcast and listening to the playlist, and for us to provide content in so many different ways that is actually very good, high quality, beneficial content. Ideally, people, no matter what their lifestyle is like, will be able to find different aspects of FinalVibe that are relevant to them. They can apply it to their lives, and it will be a constant reminder of what this is. And like you said, they can do the day-to-day things. So that will vary based on the person. I know that I mean, for real, on my short list, I would love to get the FinalVibe tattoo, show people how serious I am about this. And
Where are you going to put it?
I think the back of the right calf. Maybe.
Back of the right calf. How big are you going to do it?
Pretty big. Probably as big as I possibly can. Yeah, it's the wraparound.
Man, if it needs to go above my knee, that's fine.
Yeah, it's just the right leg.
Yeah, the whole right leg.
Yeah. No, I think I think that people will. There's a lot of different ways, and there will be many more to come for people to incorporate FinalVibe into their life, and we even have a membership for people who want to go all in and really want to surround themselves and communicate with other people that are into this. But there will be other people who just want to follow online, and maybe when you take a cool photo of while you're doing something cool, hashtag FinalVibe, and we'll see it and share it, and that's all. That's awesome. If that's all you do, that's all we want.
Totally.
We just want you to keep this top of mind.
Right. Well, and I want to go back to the branding, the coffee, the journals. None of that is accidental. You know what I mean? If you wake up in the morning and we don't have these yet, we could. And if you get out your FinalVibe mug, not because we're trying to take all your money. Nobody cares about, people don't really care about your money. If that's insensitive, I'll take it out. But let's say you have a FinalVibe mug. You take your FinalVibe blend of coffee. You just drink that. And if you're a coffee person and you do that first thing in the morning, the first thing you're communicating to yourself every single day, especially in the beginning, if you haven't been on the right track in life or whatever it is, or if you have a new goal that you want to achieve, you're communicating, I'm about something different now. You know what I mean? I've changed, and it's just the power of choice, man. Like, not to get on a soapbox, but because I do work with people who are trying to lose body fat a lot, it's crazy how much at the end of the day, it just comes down to you making a choice between one thing and another thing. And typically it really is that binary. There's an option that leads you closer toward your goal, even if it's just the smallest step. And there's an option that takes you away from it. There's an option that opposes what you're about. So that's crazy. Yeah. So if you sit down, you pour yourself a cup of FinalVibe coffee, and you sit down and you journal. Like if you can be disciplined enough to get up an hour early, to write, to journal, to think, to plan your day, to meditate, to pray, whatever kind of a person you are, dude, I think that's powerful, man. And not that everything in your life has to be breathing FinalVibe, but I get excited about wearing, a nice fitted hoodie, cool hat, wear it to the gym. Long story short, the branding is all about reminding you what you're about.
Right.
And that's cool.
The other aspect of the branding that I love is the brain body globe aspect to it. And that incorporates really well with the goals, because sometimes goals, the word goals can be annoying. The thought of writing them can be annoying. I get that, but it's a term I'm still going to use a lot throughout this journey that is this project. But when you think about them in the most basic form of just brain, body, globe, and maybe write out one goal you want to accomplish this week or in the month of July that has to do with your brain, your body, and then the world that you live in, whether that's your neighborhood, whether that's your city, your state,
Preach.
whatever you want to do. Come up with something to improve those three aspects of your life. And if you can, even if it's a slow process, take a step forward in those three areas, there's no way you aren't going to see and feel and notice improvement probably soon. So you talk about the journaling templates. We have a template on our website that is just the brain, the body, and the globe with a big empty square. And you can print that out and you can write that goal and you can put it on your refrigerator and you can every morning think about what it is that you're trying to do.
I love it too because again, there's no excuse to not do that. I mean, I love the brain, body, globe thing because first of all, I want to be clear to people about the phraseology that we're going to hone in on for Final Vibe. Final Vibe is first and foremost your pursuit of legacy. How do you want to be remembered when it's all done? And how do you want to be remembered along the way? And maybe not for selfish ambition, because I don't want this to be a YOLO spinoff. It's not what this is about. But just being a person of integrity and being remembered the way you want to be remembered. And then after that, the brain, body, globe thing, Final Vibe is pretty much going to be a group of people that are dedicated to bettering their minds, their bodies physically, and the world, just making the world a better place. And if that sounds cliche, maybe it is. But a lot of really, really true things in life tend to be cliche, I've found. So to hone in on your point, if you have the busiest day of your life, you can still knock out a task that is brain, body, globe. I mean, literally, what could it be? Like I'm going to quiz you. What would it be tomorrow for you? Something small that you could do, something tiny. I don't want people to think that this has to be massive. It's just going to be the accumulation of micro decisions and micro habits that become the new narrative of your entire life.
Sure. So I found on YouTube a series, I think it's through PBS, but it's a high level series, I think.
Is Arthur on PBS?
I think he is. I don't think he was in this episode,
love
this
Arthur.
thing I was talking about. But it's this entire educational series on YouTube about philosophy. And that's just a topic that I've been interested in lately.
Masterclass?
No, it's, is it? Yeah, I don't know. No, not Masterclass. Whatever it is.
No, hold on. Did you get hit with a YouTube ad before you were trying to watch a YouTube video?
No,
okay.
I see.
Because I get railed in by the masterclass ads all the time.
No, it wasn't Masterclass.
I'll be like, I'll become an FBI negotiator. I'll do it. I got 30 hours this week.
Guaranteed job with the FBI.
That's right.
What was I saying?
You were talking about YouTube and
yes. So
philosophy.
So for me, I found a YouTube series that is about philosophy. I think it's by PBS, and the episodes are like 10 minutes long, and there's a whole bunch of them. But it's just this normal dude that's just sitting at a desk, breaking down these extremely complex philosophy terms and concepts and people, stuff that's extremely overwhelming. But then there's this PBS guy using animations kind of breaking it down. That is, no matter how busy you are, I can sit down for 10 minutes a night and take notes, and I just learn a little bit about this subject that I miss the opportunity to study in college. We have the ability to do that. So that's one way that I'm trying to keep my brain moving forward and learn new concepts. I'm also training my dream is to ride my bike from my driveway to my high school in St. Louis, be about 115 miles. So I'm training for that.
Casual.
Just
a little bit of a bike ride.
A little bit of a bike ride. I don't know how long that's going to take me. Maybe
years. No, I'm joking. 115 miles. If you want it, I think you can ham out and do it in a day. Right? People do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
I'm thinking between 7 and 9 hours is my thought.
This shows how much I know about cycling.
No, you could do it. I'm going to slow down. I'll probably stop for drinks and food.
Straight through.
And then the globe. That's another aspect of this that I wanted to mention. I'm developing plans to increase diversity within the collegiate esports space, which is something I'm able to do right here in Columbia with Mizzou Esports, but then also throughout the industry as a whole across the country. Hopefully at least get that conversation started with the right people and see if that we can't improve that aspect of the esports industry at a time when it's needed, and
It's a
people
timely endeavor, my friend.
absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so
That's cool.
that's as basic as it can be. Now you can have goals then that lead you to accomplish those three things, but I think having just three for three different topics categories allows you to, without a ton of pressure, visualize and hopefully take steps to do whatever it is you want to do.
All right, what else can we touch on?
Yeah, a lot of people went to the about page, by the way. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, they were like, "What is this about?"
Yeah.
Will the
Or the
about
the-
page tell me that?
I think it says about, and then when you click on it, it changes to team. That team sounded good, even though it's just you and me.
Just two pals.
We're the team.
Yeah, hey, you know what, people? It's just two people. Actually, we have a huge team of executives.
We do.
It is based in Indonesia.
Yeah, I don't think we've ever
But-
met any of them.
No, we don't know them. Okay, moving on. So, so let's do this. We just stumbled onto this idea that we this is an introductory episode. It's episode 3. Episode 1 was an interview with Jesse from Camacho Coffee. He's got an awesome story about how the business came to be. We interviewed Cody and Lydia Melton from Gunter Hans, which is a stellar place to spend a sunset evening on the beer garden in Columbia here. This is our 3rd episode. We're soloing it up. Let's just get into what we're about. So my first question for you, Kevin, is: do you let your dishes soak, or do you wash them right away?
Wow. I knew that was going to be your first question.
Every time.
I typically, the dishes will go directly into the dishwasher.
Okay, what about if you do oatmeal though? You can't just put it in there.
It will be
Do you do that
No. It's washed immediately.
with your hands?
Yes.
In the sink? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Dawn dish soap, Blue Dawn dish soap, washed with my hands.
Are you a name brand snob?
Yeah.
What are you a name brand snob with? Is it just Dawn soap? Are there other
No.
things?
Oh, that's a great question. Name brand snob.
I shouldn't
with-
say snob. What do you care enough about
Sure.
to commit to the name brand?
Yeah, that's it. And for me, I am pretty brand loyal, I would say.
I could see that.
First things that come to mind for sure: Apple at everything, all the time.
Yeah.
The latest WWDC is happening on Monday. I will be watching that. Haven't missed one.
What does that even mean?
It's a worldwide developers conference.
Okay.
Apple will be revealing all of the information about the iPhone 12 and maybe any new updates about the next Apple Watch or iPad or
Totally.
who knows, something unreleased that we don't know about.
I've got an iPhone 8 for the record.
Yeah.
When do you get the cool camera?
The 11,
11?
I think so.
So I'm 3 generations behind.
At least.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I'll
The
never
12 's
catch
gonna
up.
be cool. You should wait for the 12.
You know, at my job, if I want a new phone, I can get one for $1.
Yeah, you should probably do that. But then they just give you another
No, it's
8.
the iPhone 8. Yeah. it's
Oh,
not.
yeah. That's, I mean, yeah.
So what I've been doing is I've been buying them, destroying them, and buying more
They just get
just
on,
for
yeah.
fun.
Just for kicks. Yeah. But yeah, in addition to Apple, I would say probably Burt's Bees.
The chapstick?
Yeah. I tried to do that with a straight face. Yeah.
Would you say that you're loyal to Bud Light? Favorite light beer? Go.
Bud Select, of course.
Bud Select.
Yeah.
Can you tell the difference?
Between Bud Select and Bud Light Seltzer? Yes.
Not the seltzer.
Oh, Bud Light and Bud Select? 10
Yeah.
Yes, 10
Okay.
times out of 10.
Okay,
Absolutely.
fair enough. How do you feel about Bud 55?
It's not for me.
It's not for anyone.
No, I don't think it is. I think that it is
That's
like
good.
I don't even know legally if Select 55 is beer.
It can't be beer.
I don't think it is.
I think it's syrup.
No, it's probably, yeah. I think it's like a
Fermented syrup.
It's an NA beer.
It's wheat water.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, but on a serious note. So we're talking introductions. I think introductions are a little bit cliche, but I get it. People want to know who we are, what we're about.
Get asked all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I just walk the streets and people, yeah.
Right.
Are you, wait a minute.
Wouldn't it be easier to answer all of those people in one podcast instead of
That's
dozens
right.
and dozens a day?
Aren't you? You're the FinalVibe guy.
It's already started.
I know it only launched 6 days ago, but it's all I've been thinking about.
Yeah, I can't go to the mall anymore.
Dude, nobody goes to the mall.
I get stopped by
Okay,
all
okay.
the
One more
friends.
funny question. Top 3 least favorite stores in the Columbia Mall.
Least favorite?
Least favorite. Okay. Start out with your
I
favorite.
don't like this.
Start out with your favorite.
Let's stay.
Is it bad? Is
We
it
should
bad
stay
press?
Positive.
Is it I press?
I have
Come
to be.
on.
What if one of those stores could pay me to be their spokesperson?
Wow. Okay.
I'm just kidding, but I can't.
That's not a fun question. Nobody cares what you want to do at the mall. Okay, favorite mall activity.
I don't.
That's spicy.
No, it's not. I'm not. I've never been.
Mall walking.
My family was never the mall family. I didn't go to the mall to kill time with friends. We didn't really go to the mall to see Santa Claus. We didn't go to the mall to do anything other than to buy jeans and get out of there.
Buy jeans.
Yeah.
Where? The Buckle or American Eagle?
Oh my gosh, no, like JCPenney. And my mom would know where to park.
Arizona jeans.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. No, I don't know. I've always had that. I got my jeans at Kohl's. Get the Kohl's cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here.
This is some great content. Honestly, everybody, obviously, not everybody, but some people want an introduction.
They do.
This might be just as good as an introduction, just hearing you and I talk about
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
I'm not taking things too seriously.
No, we did, and this might be good banter to include after a very serious
banter.
conversation.
It's good banter. I like this stuff. I listen to a podcast of two guys who, to be honest, it's pretty much what Josh and I are doing with Ivory. We largely got the idea for our business from their business, and they just kind of shoot the breeze. And I tune in for it every single time.
Yeah.
It's like we're friends, but they don't know it.
Sure. Yeah. Podcasting is a very unique endeavor. It doesn't get much more personal than when a person puts something in their ears to hear your voice come into their brain because they want to hear what you have to say and the people that you bring into the room. That's a very unique relationship, you know?
I do know.
And it's one that I don't take lightly. And I hope that our podcast, from a quality standpoint, without a doubt, thanks to you, will always be a 10 out of 10. But I hope that from just the content that we're able to bring, I hope that it's also up to the standards.
Yeah, that's worth saying. I mean, we're not here to waste anybody's time. If you ever hear a little bit of lighthearted banter, it's just because we're trying to be real people.
Right.
I mean, we're serious about our goals and stuff, but you can still be funny.
I sure hope so.
Okay. Basic, boring questions. We'll get them out of the way. Kevin, what do you do for money?
So for money, what I do, for the last year and a half, I have been given the task of starting a collegiate esports program at the University of Missouri. Yeah, big boom. So December 2018, we dropped a press release that said Mizzou Esports was starting, and I was given the keys. And now we have a national championship in Rocket League, and we're doing all kinds of fun stuff. So it's pretty legit. It's I for sure, probably without a doubt, 100% have one of the greatest jobs that I could that you could have.
Dream job for sure. And
Yes.
I know we're gonna have some listeners who don't even know what you're saying.
Yeah.
So
sure.
esports. What does that mean, Kevin? What are esports?
Right. So I have 21 students that all receive some form of scholarship to compete in video games.
Video games.
And they represent the University of Missouri while they do it.
What would you say to the haters who say that video games are not a sport?
I would say it's almost a ready or not, here it comes situation. There are people that are anti-gaming. There are people who, for whatever reason, like to debate whether or not it's a sport, which seems like a tremendous waste of time.
Yeah, why do we do that?
I don't know why it matters so much, but it does to some people, and I hope they get their answers soon. But from my standpoint, I look at esports as a whole as something that will have a huge impact in the future from so many different industries. And I'm excited that a school that I love, Mizzou, is on board with it. And it's kind of fun to be able to drive the car a little bit. And
you're driving the car.
Yeah.
Was that a Rocket League reference?
Sure. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I
Let's
like
say it was. Cut out make it sound like it was. No, Mizzou Esports has been super successful. It's been great. And we're recruiting right now for year 2. But that's what I get to do during the day.
That's exciting. What lights your fire after hours?
I will always have a project. I've always had a project. I have never been a big come home after work and watch television kind of person. My favorite example of this, in 2013, I was a junior in college. I had summer break off, and I walked into a budget motel off the side of Highway 70 in a suit and tie and I asked the owner, George Jashnani, if I could do marketing for Budget Host in Columbia, Missouri. And he said, I actually own 3 hotels. Could you do marketing for all 3? And I said, you bet. And that turned into an incredible opportunity. And long story short, that moment was special to me and has since showed me that I don't like to have a lot of free time, and I will fill it with random, bizarre things such as that.
That was a good answer. That's an interesting answer. Why was it the Budget Host?
Because if you walk into a Hampton or a Holiday Inn, they are typically owned by a corporate company that takes care of marketing themselves. So I needed to find a person who owned and operated 100% of their own company. And I needed to find a company that could benefit from some marketing.
That's good. There you have it. Budget Host.
Yeah.
I like that.
I would love to have George and Layla on.
What are some favorite places for you to eat around Columbia?
I would like to think that there aren't many people who eat out in Columbia, Missouri more than I do. I am a foodie at heart. I have been since the day I was born. And it's one of my favorite things about Columbia, the amount of places that we have to choose from to eat. My favorites, in no particular order: Flat Branch, Pizza Tree, Broadway Brewery. And if I'm looking for a bar that doesn't serve food, On the Rocks.
On the Rocks.
On
There
the
it
Rocks.
is, everyone. That's and if you're listening, Cole Crawford, that's for you.
It is, yes. Cole, when you can get back to town, we will be at On the Rocks.
On the
together.
Rocks. On the Rocks. That's good stuff.
All right, so let's turn the tables in real quick. How about you tell the great people, what do you do for money?
Oh, it's such a slimy way to phrase the question. It's my fault. I'm the one who asked it that way. So I actually work full-time. I work for a church here in Columbia, and I work on the events side of things, operations. So what that used to mean pre-quarantine was I did a lot of event setup. So I don't want to sugarcoat it. Carry around a lot of chairs and tables. Is that funny, Kevin? Are you belittling my vocation?
The way that you said it was funny.
Yeah, well, it's okay. The reason I say that is because I hate when you go to like a family gathering, or maybe it's even like your spouse's family gathering, and you're just you're small talking with people, and you talk to the guy who's 25, and you say, "Hey, Rob," we'll say his name's Rob. "Hey,
Sure.
Rob, how you been, man? How you doing?" "Well, it's good, man." I said, "Cool. How's work? What are you doing these days?" "Well, I'm a front office manager at this new medical clinic." And then you find out later that he's actually just doing like 4 or 5 hours a week, like shredding papers at the pediatrics office.
Right.
Which is fine, man. Nobody cares.
Right.
You start somewhere.
You do, yeah.
Anyway, I just hate it when people church up their vocation. So I love my job. I wouldn't trade it for the world. So I used to carry around a lot of chairs and tables. It keeps me active. It's awesome. I get a lot of steps in. I also have the responsibility of managing a group of college guys who staff the building after hours, and I really like building the relationships there. And honestly, a lot of cool friendships have come out of that. So I love my job. Now, during quarantine, now during weird times, events got canceled, shockingly. I was fortunate not to lose my job, but I'm pretty much full-time utility player. I play all the positions. I clean the toilets. I mow the lawn. I'll weed eat for you. I'll fix the broken chair. I do a lot of those things. And what's cool too is I don't pretend to have a glamorous job, and I'm okay with that. I will say though, I love my side projects. My biggest side project is Ivory Fitness. www.ivoryfitness.com. That's IVRY. We took out the O because SEO optimization and branding. It's a body recomposition company, which basically means we help people get lean and jacked if they want to. But for most people, that means we're helping you lose the body fat that you don't want, the body fat that accumulated over 2 years, 3 years, 4 years if it was in college, or you might even be considerably overweight after a decade of unhealthy eating or more. So we help people do evidence-based dieting through training. It's me and my friend Josh, Josh Meidel. We run the company, and it's been good. My other side hustle is now FinalVibe, and technically, I move hot tubs.
Wow.
I don't even think I told you that.
How many hot tubs have you moved?
So it's new, it's fresh. What happened was we had a friend who was looking to, move a hot tub. Couldn't find anybody in town to do it. Apparently, the hot tub companies just don't really have the time to take on the projects, which I totally get. He wound up asking me because I sort of have a reputation for odd jobbing, and we figured out a way to make it happen, and decided that if there is a need for hot tub movers in Columbia, Missouri, or anywhere in the mid-Missouri area, we will be your solution.
Interesting. I bet hot tub sales probably on the rise. A lot of Americans getting their Corona checks, and if you've been eyeing, you spend a lot of time at home trying to figure out ways to spice up the backyard.
I think so. And we officially own WeMoveHotTubs.com, so I mean, any day now we'll have a booming website up.
Right. Yeah.
You can find us there. All right, ask me one funny question, then we'll wrap this thing up. Give me a funny one. Come on.
I'm not really good at this.
Give me a funny one. Ask me the mall question. I'll blast them all. I'm kidding. Don't do that. It's bad for press.
What would you say is the most unique thing about you?
Oh, boy.
That's not funny. Give me a funny question to ask. I can't.
Ask me a couple funny. My favorite movies. I'll smash it.
All right. Okay. Let's do a little bit. Let's do a little bit of a lightning round, just so people can quickly.
Oh, I love it.
Okay.
Here, I'll even shoot some back at you. We'll just blast them out.
Okay, great. Favorite movies, go.
Titanic, #1 of all time. I don't even feel like I have to explain it, but if you need an explanation, it's because it's the perfect mixture of a deeply moving historical moment and romance. Leonardo DiCaprio, Kate Winslet, James Cameron, James Horner. That's not his name. Who's the guy who wrote the score? Will Horner?
James Cameron. You already said James
Cameron. James Cameron was the director. Crap.
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer. No. I think his name is Will Horner. I could be wrong. Best soundtrack of all time.
William Horner is a professor at the university.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Not the same guy.
William Horner, I believe, teaches psychology at Mizzou.
Crap. It's not the same guy.
Jamie, pull that up.
Jamie, do you have that on Google?
He would have already pulled it up.
Yeah, 1 second. Yeah, he already has it. No, seriously though, Titanic's my favorite movie of all time. A close second. No, it's not close. Second place would be Good Will Hunting. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck. Matt Damon's the coolest guy in the world in that movie. Robin Williams, the guy with the Icelandic name.
Yeah.
Great cast.
Good Will Hunting is a very special film.
It is. On a lighter note, funny movies that I like. I can't say this would make the top 5 because it makes me look like a shallow person, but Forgetting Sarah Marshall is a funny one.
Another classic, sure. I think you could put that in the top 5.
It's just funny. You know, if I don't want to think too hard. Also, I think what is an underrated movie? The new Baywatch with The Rock.
Wow.
Hilarious.
Really? So
Hilarious.
you haven't made it to that one yet.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. It shouldn't make the list. At this point, I'm just spouting off movies that I thought were funny over the last year.
I think that's an airplane movie. Baywatch with The Rock.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Kevin, tell me about your worst vacationing experience.
Wow. See, I typically I don't travel a whole lot yet.
Kevin's never left Columbia.
That's not true, but I don't leave often. I have not been to a ton of places. Worst vacation yet. I mean, I took a guys trip once to Chicago, and we thought it would be fun for 5 guys to drive there for 3 days, less than 72 hours, including drive time. So that was stupid to begin with. We created no itinerary. It was less than 30 degrees, and it wasn't the greatest. We watched it. We went there for a Chicago Bulls game.
Yeah. Derrick Rose?
No, it was Bulls and Heat.
Jimmy Butler.
Yes.
Okay.
Bulls, Heat, LeBron James. We saw the dunk. We saw everything we came to see.
Yeah.
Problem was the game was on a Sunday afternoon. So we watch this game. We walk out of the arena. We get in the car. We drive from Chicago to Columbia, Missouri.
Oh, no.
I go to bed at 2:30 in the morning. I wake up.
You want to end the trip?
No, it's not how you want to work. I woke up the next morning at 10:30 in the morning.
The same morning, if you will.
And realized that my final exam had started
Unreal.
at 10 o'clock in the morning.
Unreal.
Yeah, and that sort of thing didn't happen in my academic career. So I booked it to the business school and explained the situation to the teacher. And it was okay. We worked it out. But that was probably my worst experience, was just pretty much a day and a half of walking downtown Chicago with 4 people.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fun. Doesn't blow me away. Doesn't blow my hair back.
Couldn't decide what to eat.
I get what you're saying. Okay.
Yeah.
If you go to Panera, what do you order? Or is it the St. Louis Bread Company?
It is 100%. It's the St. Louis Bread
Company. So
Company.
it's not, for the record. Go ahead.
Well, I actually worked there for 4.5 years.
This is awkward.
At the St. Louis Bread Company, I believe is what my W-2 said. I'm not sure actually about that. It probably said Panera. If I were going to order something at Panera, I would ask for the tomato soup, and you add the cheese that they put on top of the French onion soup. You're also
are you that guy? You're the guy who modifies the menu? Secret menu guy?
I don't like, typically, I don't. The joke at my house, when my wife says, let's go to Panera, is maybe we should go somewhere a little less fancy like Cece's.
Oh, wow.
Steakhouse. Because Panera is expensive.
Dude, Panera. Jeez. I don't want to burn bridges with Panera, but guys, you got to lower the prices.
It's out of this world.
I was super unimpressed. I went there the other day. If we're off the record, I went there the other day. I got a grain bowl with double chicken. I couldn't find the chicken.
12.
Upsetting.
How much?
Oh, I think it was for $30. It wasn't $30. Kevin, how much protein do you eat per day?
150.
Wow, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, why do you do that?
Why?
Yeah. Because you care about your health.
I care about my health. So that's an interesting thing that we could talk about. Maybe
protein?
Throw it into this podcast.
Yeah, let's talk about protein.
No, just my past experience with health. That's a different episode. The fact that I lost weight before.
Yeah, that could be. That'll be a good next episode.
Yeah, because
Future
ideally I want to
episode.
do that again because it's not that impressive if you put the weight back on. But I want to get jacked.
Oh, yes. So you're saying that you eat protein because you want to get jacked?
No, I don't think that. I eat 150 grams because that's a year ago what I determined would be good.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good number. Great number. Sufficient number.
Fat is, there's a correlation between fat and how my stomach feels.
Sure.
So my fat has been 75 or lower per day.
Yeah. I think we kind of stumbled through that together, didn't we?
Yeah, we did when we first.
So for way too much information, people, I have this is hilarious. I'm just gonna tell people I have insane gas.
Wow. First solo episode.
I have it. We might cut that. It feels a bit unprofessional. I don't know. I have insane gas. I for the longest time I thought it was correlated to fat intake. So I remember telling Kevin, I was like, it seems to be better when I keep my fat pretty low, like 60 grams a day, which is pretty low I'm like 182 pounds or so. Anyway, turns out, guys, it was the fiber. I was eating a crazy amount of fiber. If you just chill out on the fiber, you won't be blasting 24/7, probably.
Probably. We can't.
We don't know.
No,
we don't know.
If there's one thing I don't know, it's what's wrong with your stomach. I don't know what's mine.
Totally. Favorite athlete? Go.
David Freese.
Okay, so not everyone's going to know who that is, but he's a Cardinals baseball player.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me think about my answer first.
It can be David Freese. The guy was yeah, it can be. Kevin, what are you changing your answer to make people happy?
No, I was trying to think if there's a Mizzou person. Because Gary Pinkel, I say, is responsible for more of the greatest days of my life than anybody else.
Wow. Gary, if you're listening,
but
thank you.
But I can't. Maybe I say that and we can try to get him in the podcast somehow.
Yeah, I like that.
I will answer he's not an athlete, but my answer to that question is, I can't do that. I can't say Gary Pinkel to favorite athlete.
You just have to say he's not really an athlete.
That's lame.
Favorite sports figure of all time.
That's a lame question.
Okay, fine.
Ask me
We're done here.
Well, I want to answer this. I think too much about what the answers are.
How about just favorite sport to watch?
I quit watching sports with the coronavirus. I don't care anymore.
You didn't quit watching sports. They just stopped.
They stopped.
All together. Okay, fine. Oh, okay. I got this. Favorite sports moment of all time.
Ooh, I think I know the exact date. October 11th, 2010.
Sounds right.
I think it was October 11th.
Could that be Game 6?
No, it was around that time.
Oh, am I wrong? I thought I was right.
No, wait. I was going to say Oklahoma at Mizzou.
Oh, gotcha. I
But
thought
it
you
was
were going to say Game 6.
no, but it was around that
Cardinals.
same. That was one of the greatest times in the world for a person who lived in the state of Missouri. But then now I'm thinking about it. Oklahoma was 2010, so it wasn't 2011.
2010. It was 10 years ago. Unbelievable. I was in college 10 years ago. Unbelievable. Favorite song of the last 10 years?
Favorite song in the last 10 years?
Favorite song of the last 10 years?
Surf by Mac Miller. Didn't come out very long ago, but I think Mac Miller is a fantastic artist to listen to. My brother listened to him the entire time we were in. He was in middle school. I was in high school. He was in high school. I left. And I was just like, I don't do rap. And then I did. And I'm obsessed with Mac Miller.
Then you did rap.
I did.
That's cool.
How about yourself?
Yeah, I think people think that I listen to music more than I do. I promise you that I'm way behind the music trends. If you want to know music trends, go talk to Josh Mydell. He's the man.
He is the man, and that's a great segue. Let's plug that really quick.
Josh Mydell. Plug the playlist.
Plug the playlist. Josh Mydell is curating the FinalVibe Spotify playlist. The current plan is to rotate the songs that are on that playlist every couple of weeks. Josh has doctored up the Summer Hits of the 2000s playlist, which
how many followers does that have?
70,000.
Unbelievable.
70,000 followers, which makes it one of the largest on Spotify.
This is not a drill.
It's not. So we were able to convince Josh to help us out and hook us up with the legitimate Spotify playlist.
Yeah, it's legit.
If you search FinalVibe in Spotify, you can subscribe to that playlist.
Josh has a gift for picking tunes that work well together. And if you're not following Summer Hits of the 2000s, go do it. You're just missing out. It's the best poolside playlist you can have this summer. Also, funny story. Josh is probably too humble to say this. When we were roommates, he got DMs all the time. Not only people trying to buy the playlist for like chump change, boo on you, person, but also people who would say, hey, yo, Josh, I have this sick song. I think it'd be a perfect fit for Summer Hits of the 2000s. You know what Josh said every time? When was it released? It just came out. It's probably not going to fit the Summer Hits of the 2000s vibe. Anyway, I thought that was funny.
That's pretty good.
On a serious note, though, Josh is phenomenally talented at finding the tunes that go together.
Yeah. And I'm excited that it's going to change, too. So if you like a song, favorite it, whatever you do, because it might disappear.
Yeah, that's right. Make your own spinoff. Make your own FinalVibe spinoff playlist.
Yeah,
don't sleep on a good song. Don't let it go.
Mm-hmm. I typically listen to a song until I can't stand it. I'll love it so much that I will not like it.
Let's do another lightning round, but just random examples of people or types of people and very specific goals just made up out of your imagination that could be good for FinalVibe. Let's just identify exactly what FinalVibe could be for a lot of people.
Ooh, I like that a lot.
Back and forth, go.
Okay. You go first.
All right. So I'm going to pick low-hanging fruit for me because I'm in body recomposition. I'm going to pick a night nurse who, because of the stress of her life, because of the stress of schooling, has gained 50 pounds, uncomfortable in her skin, and wanting to lose those 50 pounds in a sustainable way. So she doesn't want to just lose 50 pounds on some juice cleanse. She really wants to do it right because she wants to be a fitter person, and she has the goal of competing in, let's just say she actually has the goal of becoming a CrossFitter. Boom, FinalVibe. Come join the crew, get motivated.
Love it.
Bounce. Your turn.
Okay. I'm looking at the person who is coming out of an 8-to-5. They were fortunate enough to not have lost their job throughout the quarantine, but a person that has this idea in the back of their mind that they are capable of seeing through, whether that is a website or a business or a brand that they want to start. I think FinalVibe can be the motivating factor that makes them pull the trigger to get started.
Let's take the website example. Elaborate. What kind of website?
Well, there's
Get random. Get specific. Get random.
Oh, God.
I got one. I'm stealing the spotlight.
Steal the spotlight.
high school girl who likes making bracelets, and it's for fun, but they're really good, and people are really enjoying them. Her friends are really enjoying them, and people are asking her if she can make more, if they can buy them from her. Starts a small business, even as a high schooler, and starts to save up money for her college education.
Ooh.
Boom, final vibe.
Wow. Okay. So you're very good at this.
It's just random.
Yeah, it is random. I don't know why I struggle so much with that. I think I'm trying to think of not specific people that I know that I want to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Yeah, you can just subtweet people. Call them out.
Exactly. Yeah. If
A random guy named Jacob Pollard. So let's just say you live in Hamilton, Missouri, and you have these ideas of making you flip an old house, century old, beautiful house, and you make it into an Airbnb for arguably the quilt capital of the world.
Mm-hmm. Honestly, everything.
Join Final Vibe.
Yeah. I think one of the unique and cool aspects about Final Vibe is that it provides you an excuse to do the damn thing. If you go on Facebook tomorrow and you tell the world that you are going to do boom, 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 whatever it is that you're going to do, you are going to run a half marathon on this date, and you put that online, and then you share your journey through that online, it will hold you accountable. But I think it will also motivate you to want to do it. Right. So that's my hope, is that we will take over the internet. Everybody will, the hashtag Final Vibe is going to be everywhere. And when you look at that, all it is going to be, it's going to be a never ending feed of people who are doing and seeing and eating and going and traveling to cool things. Everybody's just doing really fun, awesome, unique things to them that they view as a step forward and a step towards something that they want to do.
I like it too, because I think about jumping on the social media platform, jumping into the Slack channel for now. And I think a lot of people are going to think, well, I'm not into fitness, so why would I want to be in the fitness channel? I think what people are going to find is that if you see people doing cool things, it doesn't really matter. Anybody can appreciate a craft done well, I think. For example, I went to a Broadway production one time when I was in New York. One time when I was in New York. I've been in New York twice. Once was with my mother for New Year's Eve. It was a heck of a time. I don't want to downplay that trip with my mom. It was great.
I went to New York with my mom.
This gotta be a thing then.
Yeah, I bet a lot of people have.
It was me. I was so cold. I've never been so cold in my life. Anyway, this one time in New York. No, I was fortunate enough to go to a Broadway production, and I didn't really think I was gonna like it that much. And to be fair, theater art isn't my first choice. But when I was there, I was watching Phantom of the Opera. I was just really blown away, and I really appreciated it, even though I didn't get it and I didn't know anything about theater. I didn't know anything about production. Final Vibe is going to be the same thing. Jump in the group. You're going to see some guy being an amazing cabinet maker, dedicated to his craft, dedicated to doing it with excellence. Maybe he finds a way to use that money for something good. You just have no idea. I promise you're going to be inspired by that. So, yeah, for anyone who's wondering, is he just going to be a big mess of inspirational projects? Yes, it is, but that's the cool part about it, I think.
For sure.
Cool. Kevin, let's wrap it up.
Let's
leave these people alone.
I think we covered a lot. I think we did what we wanted to do, which was to give everybody a little bit of a behind-the-scenes view at what Final Vibe is. We've been taking over your social media feeds for a couple weeks now, so we wanted to give you a chance to get to know us a little better. Our vision for Final Vibe, obviously, it is still getting started, but we have really, really big dreams for what this can become, and we can't accomplish those things without you guys liking and supporting what we're doing. So we appreciate everybody who has done so already. This is a very special project for me, as you can tell just from the stories that I'm able to share. And I know Andrew can say the same. This has been really fun to create and get it to where it is now. And the rest of it, I feel like, is just kind of momentum as everybody who kind of buys in and decides to do this begins to share their story. I think the rest of it will just kind of go from there.
It's going to be fun, man. It's going to be fun to see it take shape. It's already been fun. It's only going to get more fun. Where can people find us on social media? Kevin, what's the best way to get plugged in? What's the best way to get a taste of Final Vibe and what it's really going to be about?
Yeah, I think if you want the 30-second rundown of what Final Vibe is, at Final Vibe on Instagram is probably the way to get it done, or finalvibe.com. The website has anything and everything you would want to find. That's probably the best place to start.
I love it. That's it for us, people. Episode 3 in the books. Kevin, we'll see these people next time.
Can't wait. Later.